Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Cool.
Should we wait another couple minutes? Or you want to start? What do you think?
You're usually the one that does it. I don't know. When do you usually start?
Like a couple minutes after noon.
All right.
I'll start, even though nobody's here.
Okay. All right. Hi.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Actually, you can just start since nobody's here. Just introduce yourself.
Okay. All right. Hi, YouTube Live. I'm Dani Brodsky, and I am going to talk about my art and my process today. I'm a 24-year-old fiber artist from Philadelphia. And yeah, so I should share my screen now, Claudia? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So jumping right in. Let's do it. Okay, so like I said, I'm Dani Brodsky. That's me. I'm an artist and a teacher here in Philadelphia, and I'm a fiber artist. I graduated in 2020 from Tyler School of Art with my BFA in fiber and material studies. And right now today, I mostly make rugs and textiles, but I thought I would kind of catch everyone up on how I got here before I jump right into the work I make today. So it's really hard for me to have like a consistent artist statement because it changes all the time. So I've just started to like create lists of things that inspire me or act as influences. And it's an ongoing list of just entities and subjects and themes that I'm always looking back at. These are things that are always just kind of existing in my head, or that I'm drawing.
Death, dying, and rotting. Lovely.
Death, dying, and rotting. Yeah, things
so
like
these. Sorry, go on.
No, yeah, just these are like things like poetry and art history movements. Like right now, I'm really into medieval drawing. I grew up across the street from the cemetery, so I have been interested in like the macabre or like morbid things since I was a kid.
I love it.
So yeah, death, dying, and rotting comes up a lot. Memento mori is a word that I use a lot, or a phrase I use a lot to describe my work or my influences. This is a slug I saw. I liked it a lot, so that got added. This is
amazing. I want to screenshot this and like print it and put it on my studio wall.
And then you just keep adding things.
Right. Twilight Zone season 2, just season 2.
All mainly season 2, yeah.
Do you go to? This is weird. I've talked about it in other artist talks. Do you like to go to Woodland Cemetery? Because I know you live in West Philly.
I love Woodland Cemetery.
It's the best.
I love Laurel Hill. I love the cemetery.
That's where I learned how to drive. I was just telling someone that yesterday, Laurel Hill Cemetery.
Yeah, nice. I learned how to drive in a cemetery too.
Would you say you learned how to drive in a cemetery too? Are you serious?
Well, I grew up across the street from one.
Wow, right. Okay. Yeah, there's no one you can hurt there. So
yeah. So yeah. So these are just like a growing list of what I use to describe my work. And just themes that I'm always coming back to. It's one of the only things that stays consistent is things on this list. Oh, and this is like a Tracy Emin print. She's just an artist who is also inspiring, but yeah, love her. Okay, and then early undergrad work. So this is really early. I started art school in 2015, and I went in as a sculpture major. So I just wanted to build things and experiment and like get my hands on whatever I could get my hands on. So instinctively, I just started like making teeth and using fruit as material and seeing what would happen with it. And I don't know why I was gravitating to those kinds of ideas and those kinds of materials, but something about it just like felt natural to me. And I kept making the same imagery out of teeth. And this is rotting meat. It's really gross. I don't know why. That's what I was using to like navigate new techniques. And I didn't
Is
know.
that a photo you took or the rotting meat?
It's a screenshot from like a video that I made. So I would just take videos of me like making something and destroying it. So I like made all these little clay teeth and like broke them. I had this like rotting compost of fruit and meat, and I was just like shoving my hands in it. Yeah, this bikini is banana peels that I sewed together.
Did you wear it?
I tried. It started wilting pretty immediately, and then by the end of the day, it was black and being eaten by fruit flies. And it was awesome. It was like my favorite part of it. I didn't know at the time, but these were becoming like symbols in my work, and I didn't know, but they were going to show up consistently throughout undergrad and even more so today. So after the banana bikini moment, somebody was like, hey, you keep making sculptures out of like soft materials, you know, there's a whole art form for this and it's called fiber art. Didn't know that. Fiber art is just sculpture, but instead of nails, you're using like a needle and thread. So I instantly stopped studying sculpture and started studying fiber art. And here, like these orange peels, I was using fruit again, I was using objects, and I was getting really invested in the history of fiber art, and how most of it is rooted in the fact that fiber art did not used to be considered a fine art, and that for so long it was just seen as something used to create utilitarian objects, and that weaving and sewing and other fiber techniques were just to make objects with purpose, clothes, baskets, things that we use, and definitely not art. And that they were made by women, and women weren't capable of making the same art that like male painters and sculptors were. So I became really interested in that history, and it became really important in my art practice. Yeah, I got kind of obsessed with objects and like collecting them. Like the little phone here, fruit. Inside of this like stocking were like more fruit peels, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was a potato at first.
It might have been potato skins like shoved in here. I was just shoving random stuff into random stuff because I was really obsessed with objects. So then later, undergrad, this is like my senior year, I'm still working through this idea of objects and subverting them from their original context. And I couldn't stop thinking about like domestic objects and why like my grandmother's lamp couldn't be as artistic as like a famous painting. Like I didn't understand why those things had to be separate just because one was utilitarian. So I made this 5-piece fashion line of human furniture. This is the table and the armoire. There was a rug and a chair and a lamp at one point, but these were the ones with the best photos. And they walked around and they danced and they were a little creepy, but mostly kind of funny. And yeah, I was really fascinated by this idea that like an object could stop being utilitarian. Oh, it's Maria.
Did you go to Tyler?
Did I go to Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was in the wearable art show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My piece was called, my whole line was called, I think the table lamp is threatening me in Morse code. So it was all about like human furniture that like came alive and like did a dance.
Awesome.
Yeah. They were like haunted. I don't know. But that was undergrad. And then the pandemic happened and I needed to find a way to continue working really large and really quickly in my own space now that I like didn't have access to anything. And I've never been like a painter or someone who works very 2D. So it was a real big struggle. And then I bought a tufting gun. And tufting, to try and explain it really simply, it's the act of creating a rug or a textile by punching yarn through the back of a cloth and creating loops on the front. So it can be done by hand or by machine, but the machine is kind of the star of the show these days. I have this little video that kind of shows what it is. So I'll play it and I'll slow it down. Try to really explain this process. So this yarn, you can see my cursor, right? My little mouse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this yarn is threaded through this gun in my hand. It's a power tool. And this is the back of the rug. So, as I like punch this gun into the cloth and I make lines, on the other side, it's creating the pile. It's creating the loops. So I'm going line by line, rethreading the gun when I need to. And from the front, it's coming out like this. So it gives you the freedom to like kind of draw with yarn and with a power tool, but at the same time, you can really get detail in there and you can add your own technique and design. And it doesn't have to be very precise. So once I learned this craft, I became kind of obsessed with it, and I knew it was what I'd been looking for. It was the exact combination of something utilitarian, but could also be subverted.
Yes, you found your niche.
I found it. I went through a lot of exploration. I finally found the right tool. Because I was also a sculpture major. I loved playing with power tools, but I wanted to do it softly somehow. So I found it. Don't play again. But what was funny is that as soon as I started to like kind of master the technique and figure out where I could place myself within it, I wasn't making rugs. Like it was never an instinct of mine to create a rug for like the floor, like a traditional rug, even though that's what the tool was made to do. I started making these little, I call them vessel rugs. And they were these weird little textiles that have openings in them that were meant for like a vase or a planter or a candle. This one was like a huge snake that also was meant for like some type of vessel. So it was an object that I created for another object, because I'm still working through this whole fascination with domesticity and household objects.
I love that snake. So that's meant to be on the floor and not on the wall?
That's where it gets weird. Like I made it to go on the floor and maybe be a rug. Right now it's on the wall of a store in New York. So it was completely repurposed.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was when I just started putting objects onto like the rugs. And every time I released them and I like put them into the world, they were seen differently. So whereas these ones were definitely seen as like product design to me, or like existing in a product world, an object world, this one was seen as a sculpture or like something subverting its purpose, because it was not a rug. It was never put on the floor, but it wasn't a chair, and people didn't know what it was. So I think this one's also like hanging somewhere. People were, I think, like putting it in their kitchens and not on the floor. It was being seen differently.
Do you take commissions, or do people just buy what you make?
I rarely take commissions. Sometimes people will have an idea that I just like a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that you.
Most of the time, I'm kind of set in my ways.
Yeah. Yeah. You need something that appeals to you. It's that's on that list of your inspirations.
Yeah. So it's really easy for me to jump back and forth between ideas. But if it's something that like isn't intriguing to me at all, I can't do it.
Yep.
So then I started making these. We're back to the fruit and the teeth, because they keep popping up in my life. And when I released these to like the world, everyone saw them as paintings. So very different from the other two. Yeah. Like this was some type of sculpture. This was some type of product. These were fully paintings to people. People called them like fluffy paintings or yarn drawings. Like I've heard everything except rug. No one has ever called these a rug. And they've never lived on a floor. They go on the wall. Somebody put a frame around one. Like they just become something different every time. So I started realizing that this was a technique and a tool that could really, really be experimented with, and whatever I did could change its state in the world. And I started to kind of exist on the line between design and fine art, which is what I was interested in when I started looking into fiber art. Oh, this one is another little molding fruit. Yeah, just back on theme. I love when things are rotting and dying. And then as of recently, I've really have dived into experimenting and navigating this idea that they're always changing states, and that these are being seen as still lifes and as paintings. So I tried to emphasize that and really frame it in the way that a painting could be framed. And I also made this staircase leading up to it to kind of emphasize that the rug itself can be the sculpture and it doesn't need to be lying on something. So that this technique can exist and be molded in so many different ways, and it can be seen in the round. It can be a sculpture and a painting and an object. And this is the back of it, which is super exciting to me because usually the backs get covered, but for this one, I left it untouched, and I like it better than the front sometimes because they're just so chaotic and you see all of the gestures and the hands. That also kind of separates it from any other type of art. You can't see the back of a painting. You can't see the back of a rug on the ground or it's covered. So it really brings it into new media. And that's why I'm so still kind of amazed by it every time. And then right now, I'm in my little home studio right now, and I'm just working on these larger abstract pieces that are kind of inspired by right now, bodies of water, a landscape, more stuff from that list. And I don't know what they're going to be. When they're done, I don't know if they're going on a wall or if they're going on the floor, or if they're going to get turned into some type of freestanding sculpture. At this point, I just think that they'll inform me of what they're going to be, and that I can't really predict it anymore.
Are those the backs or the fronts?
These are the fronts of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do it on canvas? I was thinking you did it against the wall, but with the video that you made, you had a video of the front being done.
Yeah, I can switch it in between. So it's a special type of fabric that gets stretched over a frame, and the frame has nails to hold it in place and really stretch it. And so this is the back of it right now. You can see my work being done on the back, and the front is what you see in the photo here.
Okay.
So I can always see the front and back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Oh, is that the end?
That's all I got. This is what I'm working on today. This is where I've landed. I don't know what's next, but this is where I'm at.
Well, that's awesome. It was so cool to learn about your process. I never knew how to make this sort of stuff. So that's really cool. And hey, we're neighbors. I'm moving in a week, and maybe I'll hit you up for some art.
Where are you moving?
47th and Springfield.
Okay. All right. So around the corner. Yeah.
Yes, around the corner.
Nice.
Exactly from where I'm living now.
Yeah. You need a rug, painting, sculpture. Also, I've been turning these into mirrors. That's a thing too.
I know. I saw your snake mirror. I'm obsessed. I love it. You should. Oh my God, people will eat that up. The mirrors.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like do you have releases on Instagram, social media where you put a bunch of stuff on your site at the same time and people go and buy it? I know a lot of small businesses do that.
I did it that way for a little bit. but ultimately I can't really like release on a schedule like that. It's like, it's where the idea of like fine art and like product start to fight each other. It just doesn't, I can't do it. So I just make things as I make them. And when they're done, I'm like, hey, who wants it? And some people want it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Maria, Jesse, looking at you. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for sharing your work.
Hi. I'm watching here with Nora.
Oh, hi guys. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, Nora really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you all soon.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Dani. That was awesome.